Story time! Do you ever eat something and kind of wonder, like, that they're lying about what they're serving you? Well, this story was sent to me through my Instagram DMs from a girl named Habiba. She is from Egypt. So a lot of you may know the dish, shawarma, or like you get like chicken shawarma or something. It's kind of like a wrap. It's really good. Well, Habiba and her dad went to this restaurant and I guess they ordered shawarma to go, I'm pretty sure. And so they started eating it and the dad was like, this is disgusting, and she thought it tasted horrible. And so I have a dog, and whenever I don't like my food, I'll kind of just give it to her if it's like meat. And so they tried to give it to their dog and the dog like backed away from it. It did not want anything to do with what was in that shawarma. And so when the dog wouldn't eat it, Habiba was like, that's really weird because my dog will eat anything and so will mine. And a year later, they found out it was dog meat. And apparently the name of the restaurant was Woof Woof. Like, dude, woof woof. I mean, I know that happens in China, but Egypt? Hey guys, today I'm going to tell you the story about this girl from Sudan who got thrown into a well. This story was sent to me by a girl named Renad through my Instagram DMs. So this little girl was 11 years old. She lived with her dad and they owned goats. And she was supposed to be watching them one day and then she fell asleep and she lost a few of them. And she tried to go looking for them, but she couldn't find them. So she finally was like, okay, I'm going to go back to my dad and tell him. He was super strict because he got so mad and he started hitting her really hard and said to her, you have two choices. He said, I will either kill you right now or I will throw you inside of a well. And he said, which one do you want? And she said, of course I'm gonna be thrown inside a well. I mean, you might have a chance to live, you know. So he threw her inside the well, and the well was very old with a bunch of snakes and scorpions down inside of it. Somehow after weeks, she still managed to stay alive down there. I don't know if she was like eating the scorpions or whatever. And then she heard some of the kids in the village playing outside near the well, so she called for help. Running out of time, so like for part 2, I always post part 2, you know that. The true story of a girl who got thrown into a well, part 2. So yeah, this girl was thrown inside of a well and it had been weeks and somehow she was still alive. And so she hears some of these kids from the village playing near the well outside and she starts calling for help. And so these kids are like, that well is so old, it must be haunted. So they told everybody in the village to stay away from it because it was haunted and there's like a ghost down there calling for people. This man got so sick and tired of it, he really wanted to see if it was a ghost or a human. So he goes and checks the well and he sees that it's a little girl down inside the well. She tells him that she's been there for so long and he goes and runs and gets help from the whole village to get her out. They asked what happened and she told them the whole story, and they asked, how were you still alive? Like, how did you survive? And she said that there was this man who brought her milk every night and told her to wait and she would survive. They found her father and tried to throw him in jail, but she actually asked the judge not to put him in jail. She said she just wanted him to go away, but not get thrown in jail. But yeah, she's okay now. The story of the Russian grave robber. This is a picture of Anatoly Moskvin. In Russia, he was known as a local historian and cemetery explorer. And this is just one of the bodies that he dug up from a cemetery and made into a doll. Each human doll was carefully dressed with the hands and the face covered in cloth. These girls' bodies were propped up on furniture and shelves, and one of them was made to look like a teddy bear with a teddy bear's head on top of their head. He had 29 of these dolls, and these girls' bodies belonged to girls ages 3 to 12 years old, and this is one of them. He gave these corpses names, and when he dug these people up, he looked at their gravestone and researched them. He would throw birthday parties for them. In his house, the police also found printed out instructions on how to produce dolls out of human remains. The only reason he was caught was because his parents paid him a surprise visit. He was arrested in 2011 and deemed insane.
Story time of how I almost got arrested for selling my mom's underwear. Disclaimer, this is not my story time, it was sent to me on Instagram. My mom is a total MILF. She used to be a video vixen back in the early 2000s. She even used to model and had a huge following. By the way, yes, I am her son. She's in her late 30s now, but she's still banging. So I basically found a way to monetize her hotness. The idea came to me one day when I was looking on the internet on how to make money online. Well, I found a bunch of articles about how people sell their foot pictures for money. This totally blew my mind, and I thought I can definitely do that with my mom's feet. So I started out by taking pictures of my mom's feet, but she wasn't having it, and she even got suspicious and asked me why I was doing that, so I basically had to stop that. Then I found an article about women selling their underwear. I knew this was what I needed to do. My mom had her fair share of underwear, so I thought she's not going to notice if a few go missing. What I'm about to say is really gross. Yes, I started stealing my mom's dirty underwear and selling them online. online. I sold the first pair for $50. After that, I started stealing my mom's underwear all the time. So I started stealing my mom's underwear to sell them online. So basically, I started keeping track of every single time my mom went to shower. After she was done showering, I would make sure to go and steal her underwear, her dirty underwear. Then I would take a peek into her laundry basket and grab whatever was there too. In just the first month of selling my mom's underwear, I had made $500. So I started selling even more underwear. And I started selling them for $75 a pop. And this is gross, but some guys wanted my mom's underwear after she went to the gym. Totally disgusting, but those are the ones that I could really sell for more money. One day my mom started getting really suspicious, asking me where I got the money to buy all the stuff that I was getting. And of course she started freaking out because she noticed a lot of her underwear started going missing. Disclaimer, this is not my story time, it was sent to me on Instagram. Well, I didn't know this, but my mom had installed cameras because she was getting really nervous that she had a stalker. So I would go on about my day stealing my mom's underwear. Little did I know I was being filmed every second of the day. There's a knock on the door one day and it's the police. Part 3 is one day there's a knock on the door and it's the police. They told me they had a warrant to search my house. I called my mom and she came home right away. That's when she broke it to me and told me that she had installed cameras and that she caught someone in the camera stealing her underwear. I couldn't believe they hadn't figured out it was me. Then she shows me the camera recordings in front of the police. And you can totally tell it's me in the video stealing my mom's underwear and putting it in Ziploc bags. And then I would just send it off to these nasty dudes. That's when the cops told me they were gonna arrest me. My mom begged them not to and explained to them that it was probably just a phase I was going through. I basically stayed quiet the whole time because I was not about to incriminate myself. The cops leave and my mom turns to me and starts laughing. She confesses that she set up the whole thing because she knew the whole time it was me stealing her underwear. When I told her how much money I'd made, she said we should keep going with the business. So yeah, we're still in business and we're going strong. My mom's a
69-year-old mother-in-law Sandra is a weird woman. She even refers to herself as that. She has random outbursts, hyperfixations, tics, and struggles immensely with social cues. She hasn't been diagnosed with anything, so I won't speculate. When I first met my husband's family, I noticed that all of them except my husband made fun of Sandra and her quirks. For example, we were having dinner one night and my mother-in-law couldn't stop talking about flowers. She loves plants and nature and is super knowledgeable about it. My sister-in-law made a comment making fun of her and everybody at the table laughed about it. Sandra got extremely embarrassed and didn't talk for the rest of the night. This kind of behavior is normal in the family and I despise it. I get so angry whenever someone makes fun of Sandra because she's just a kind, lovely woman that I just can't fathom why they would do that. I've had a lot of conversations about this with my husband and even fights when he laughs about the jokes. We have a 15-year-old son named Alex, and my biggest fear is coming true. Alex has started to pick up on the behavior around him and has been laughing at Sandra. I've talked to him about why laughing at her is bullying and how that behavior is inappropriate, etc., but Alex doesn't seem to care. 2 weeks ago, we went to see Sandra. My brother and sister-in-law were there along with their families. Sandra looked very happy. While catching up, she randomly started clapping. This is one of her tics that appear when she's excited. My brother-in-law made a comment poking fun of her and the whole family started laughing, including my husband and Alex. Sandra got teary-eyed and had to excuse herself to the bathroom. I have never been more furious. While on our way home, I chewed my husband and son out and told them not to speak to me until they apologized to Sandra. I told them that I don't want to hear a single word directed to me until they reflect on how their actions are hurtful and disgusting. 2 weeks have passed and I haven't spoken to them. Not a single word because they've made 0 attempts to apologize to Sandra. My husband is telling me that I'm being petty and hurting Alex. He's also mad at me for valuing my relationship with Sandra more than my relationship with them. In my mind, I'm not doing that, but my husband says that I'm being an asshole. Am I wrong for refusing to talk to them until they apologize to Sandra?
Story time about how I got arrested for stalking my celebrity crush. Disclaimer, this is not my story time, it was sent to me on Instagram. When I was 15, I saw my celebrity crush for the first time in a movie. After that, I pretty much went to all of his movie premieres and events. I was able to take a picture with him and even got his signature. To say that I was obsessed was an understatement. Now, here's where the problem began. He started dating this woman, aka another celebrity, and I pretty much lost it after that. At the time, I was living with my mother and she couldn't help but notice the change in me. I started staying out pretty late, mostly because I was out in the city looking for him. I knew all of his hangout spots because the paparazzi always caught him there. So I basically would hang out everywhere he would. I followed him to his house, I followed him to the gym, and I followed him to the grocery store, pretty much everywhere. I decided to sign up to his gym, and I started talking to him, and he started talking to me, and he asked me out on a date. Part 2 is up. After stalking him for a while, my celebrity crush asked me out on a date, but he didn't know I was stalking him, of course. Disclaimer, this is not my story time, it was sent to me on Instagram. On the date, he pretty much only talked about himself. He told me he had just broken up with his ex, which I knew that. And I basically pretended not to know anything about him. There was lots of awkward silence and I just couldn't help but stare at him the whole time. That's when he asked for the check and paid for dinner. I was totally expecting him to ask me to go back to his place. Well, when he didn't, I was really disappointed. So I did the logical thing, I invited myself over. That's when he told me that he couldn't because he had to get up early. After that, I didn't hear back from him at all. So I decided to go to the gym where I knew he was gonna be. But when I tried to say hello to him, he told me to stay away. Then he asked one of the gym employees to escort me out. And when I got home, the cops were waiting for me to arrest me. They showed me pictures of me stalking my celebrity crush. Part 3 is up. As soon as I got home, the cops were there and they arrested me. And they showed me pictures of me stalking my celebrity crush. Disclaimer, this is not my story time, it was sent to me on Instagram. Since they had all this evidence and my face on the pictures, I couldn't say it wasn't me. They told me that after our date, my celebrity crush got a really bad feeling from me. So he decided to install cameras around his house and in his car. And well, that's when he caught me stalking him around his house at odd hours and following him in my car all the time. I was taken to court and told I had to go to therapy. Apparently, he felt bad for me though and didn't want to press charges. He did get a restraining order, so I definitely can't go near him. The good news is that I have another celebrity crush. Yay!